Hello everyone, Memory here. This video will be a rough guide to crystal selection. This topic has been bothering me for quite a while. I was trying to find a guide about it after the new Han crystals and red battlefield crystals came out, but I couldn't find a decent one, so I decided to make a video about it. I will use a low budget witch set and my current witch set as main examples. Why witch set? Because I'm a witch main. And the video will be too long if I talk about gear sets for each individual class. Also, this guide would just be my personal opinion about the best choices. There are other builds like damage reduction build, evasion builds, and so on. Obviously, the best crystal choice will be very different, so take the guide with caution. However, I will still mention some alternatives along the way. If you think there are better crystal choices, comment down below so everyone can learn too. Anyways, let's get started. Before you choose your crystals, you need to know what gear you're using. This is because when you die to most of the PvE contents, they have a chance to break, and you have to break them when you try to change your crystal setup, unless you use a cash up item of course. Some of those best in slot crystals cost more than 10 to 100 million Celrus a pop, so you don't want to waste your money here. And also, certain gears have additional effects like increased attack speed or critical hit, so you would have to choose your crystals accordingly so you don't exceed the cap of certain stats. First, let's have a look at the beginning witch gear. This set of gear can be easily obtained from the current marketplace for around 200 to 300 mil, which is easily doable for any new players that have been playing for around a month in this current innate version. To start, pick a main hand weapon that is suited for you. As a witch, the requirement for accuracy is not too high compared to other classes, so I picked the ultimate Rosa weapon because it gives 2 crystal slots. Currently there are no cheap crystals in the glove slot that gives you +2 cast speed, so the extra slot in the weapon will be very important. Here we try to only use cheap crystals because you will want to throw them out after you get your boss gears. Find a way to get 5 levels of cast speed or attack speed with your gear. It should always be the first step of making crystal decisions. This weapon should give you +5 cast speed and 1 negative critical hit, since the ultimate version gives +1 to both cast speed and critical hit as well. To increase the critical hit, we use 2 blue Vela crystals that are on the glove slot, which gives 2 critical hit each. This would bump the total critical hit from -1 back to 3. Critical hit is not important enough to max out because it doesn't have that much of an impact in combat compared to attack speed. And if you really need them, you can always use shock elixirs, which is cheap to buy from the marketplace that gives you +2 or +3 critical hit. For other classes that uses attack speed, you might want to use ultimate Aswell weapon instead because of the extra accuracy that it gives. The crystal choice would be 1 ancient Karma crystals on the weapon, 1 ancient Viper, and 1 assault crystals on the glove. The cheap version of accuracy and AP crystals are not worth to get in my opinion, because the difference is not noticeable. Finally, I have to mention the absorption and extraction crystals. They leech 1 HP or 1 resource point, which is your SP and MP and so on, per hit. They can be quite beneficial to use for classes like Ranger, which is resource heavy. So that could be another option if you need. If you are using absorption and extraction crystals, then just put 2 assault crystals on your glove. Just make sure you have +5 attack/cast speed without buff, no matter what you use. The rest of the crystal slot should just focus on HP and utility. On the armor slot, slap on 2 ancient Corbellinus crystals. These might be a bit expensive for new players, but the weight and HP stat it gives is very beneficial for new players, so it is still recommended. Otherwise, using the evasion crystal or any other crystals is fine. Use 2 ancient RBF crystals for the helmet slot because it is cheap and it gives HP. Note that you can also get memory crystals for +2 cast speed here, but I rather have more HP so I didn't use them. For the shoe slot, I recommend Ancient Historia Crystal because of the weight limit increase. However, it is on the expensive side again and it is not as important as HP. So if you want to save money here, you can use any other cheap crystals that you can get your hands on, for example the Swiftness crystal. It won't make much of a difference at this point. Finally, for your offhand slot, use Critical Hit Crystal. Note that it gives 10% to critical damage, not the critical hit stat. This crystal is the only one that is cheap and useful in all situations, so I don't recommend any other ones at this point. Now let's move on to the crystals I use after I have full set of boss gear. Now these crystals can be very expensive, so make sure you never die to the mob that you're grinding before you use them. First of all, I use a full set of boss gear and that means I get full cast speed without any crystals. This means we can be more flexible about crystal combinations. For the main hand weapon, instead of using cast speed and critical hit crystals, I choose to put 2 black precision crystals. This is because accuracy is a very important stat in PvP. Even though you don't need as much accuracy as a witch compared to other classes, if you are versing people that are higher level than you, more gear than you, or just generally using evasion heavy builds, these accuracy would help a ton. Also, the ignore 10% or resist is a very rare and useful stat that will significantly increase your chance to land your CC. Some people might choose to use the red battlefield crystals, which will give you more damage output. Their reasoning is, why bother CC the enemy when you can just kill them outright? That does make sense, but my current level and AP and accuracy don't allow me to kill my average target most of the time, even if I use 2 red battlefield crystals. So I decided to use black precision crystal instead. If your character is high level and is using a pure AP build, red battlefield crystals would be the better choice to consider. Especially the new RBF Kame crystal if you are an attack speed class. Next we have the glove crystals. Here I'm using 1 Jin Viper crystal, which is the best glove crystal to increase 1 cast speed. And it also gives 20 juicy accuracy stat. This is currently the most expensive crystal on the market, sitting at 220 mil, because of 2 reasons. First, the material required to make them are quite expensive per attempt, and you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting it. Secondly, this crystal provides the most amount of accuracy compared to any other crystal in the game. Some people still use the crystal when they already have max attack / cast speed without it, because it is that good. I only use 1 because my current accuracy is enough for what I need for now. The second crystal is more flexible depending on personal need. I choose to use the Red Fang Veiler because the 2 critical hit stat on this crystal allows me to reach max critical hit during combat by using a shock crystal elixir. If you want more accuracy, slap another Jin Viper. If you want more grapple resist, use black sturdiness or black precision crystal. If you want 10 extra damage to humans, then use the new red battlefield crystal. Personally, I think the RBF crystal is close, but not as good as the Red Fang, because the cast speed stat on it is wasted, and also I don't have enough AP as mentioned before to make the human damage worth. Now we move on to armor and shoes. I put them together because I use 4 Han Magic Crystal Home on both of these gears. These Han crystals are reasonably new crystals at the time of this video. They are by far the best crystals in the game so far. They are utility crystals, meaning you can put them on any crystal slots. Each crystal provides a decent amount of stat, and if you equip 4 of them, you will also get the bonus 2 set effect as well as the 4 set effect. Yes, they do stack. There are 3 types of hardened crystals, the red one, the green ones, and the blue one. That's how I call them. The red one is mainly used for increasing combat and skill EXP gain. This guide is mainly focused on PvP combat, so the red one is out of the equation. The blue one is mainly for ignore all resist and max stamina. This one is good for any class that is heavy user of stamina. Finally, the green one. Most of the stat on the green one is defensive except for the accuracy it provides. All of the stats are suitable for all classes, so you cannot go wrong by using them. The only downside is they are one of the most expensive crystals on the market. Currently they are going around 90 to 100 mil each. But if you're doing PvP and the endgame content, then this is definitely worth the silver. Now let's have a look at the helmet crystals. I use Gym Half-Year crystals mainly because of the huge evasion stat that it gives. As a witch, this specific gear setup combined with the magic shield skill would bump all resistance to 57 or more. Since 60% is the cap for resistance in PvP, I think there is not much value to use more resistance crystals on the helmet slot. Yes, the extra resistance over the cap can be used to cancel ignore resist stat from other players, but experience tells me that if a berserker wants to grab you, they will still grab you. So you might as well be more tanky so you can tank through more damage while you are being CC'd. This is also the reason why I decided to sacrifice armor and shoe slot for Home crystals. The next best thing in those slots are crystals like Kydex Giant / Jin Cabolinus on armor, and RBF Adamantine / Jin Hysteria on shoes. And I think all of those are less valuable for me compared to the Jin Half-Year on the helmet, so I decided to sacrifice the armor and shoes crystal slots. For the offhand, ideally use 2 red spirit crystals. This crystal again is one of the new red battlefield crystals, where you heat red essence with other crystals according to the outcome you want. This one in particular is heating red essence with black magic crystal. Compared to the awakened spirit crystal, it has 50 less HP, but it gives 3 extra damage to humans, which is beneficial in PvP. There are no other crystals that are better than red spirit in PvP in my opinion, but it is not easy to obtain, so you can use the awakened spirit crystal or any other ones as a substitute, if you can't get your hands on them. Finally, I would like to mention that if you have 269 AP and 309 DP or above, you should use as much red battlefield crystals as you can. Because at that point, the extra human damage will be better than whatever logic I just said for the past 10 minutes, while remaining decently tanky. Of course, if you really want to use the RBF crystals, then 261 AP with 293 DP would be pushing it, in my opinion. Why those numbers? Because they are landing on the start of AP and DP brackets. Hopefully this video can help some people out. If you like to see more random guides or content, subscribe and comment down below. It does make a difference when there are more feedbacks. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.